So if there's one thing that I use on a daily basis, that's a keyboard. Before I can access any of my information, I have to log in. Sometimes it's a password or a PIN, but what if I told you that you could use your fingerprint? What's up YouTube, Mex Tech Guy here. So today we're going to be talking about the new Microsoft Modern keyboard. This keyboard isn't cheap, coming in around $140 after taxes, but there's a good reason for that. Sure, you might be telling yourself that I'm out of my mind, but hear me out. The unboxing is pretty straightforward and clean as any expensive keyboard should be. Opening up the box reveals the beautiful keyboard, followed by a micro USB cable for charging, and of course the paperwork. And that's pretty much it. Seeing the promo video for this keyboard immediately had me wanting it, and now that it's in person, I'm glad it's in my possession. The keyboard is one of the most attractive keyboards I've seen. Starting with the smooth finish and nice cold aluminum that the keyboard is made of, it just gives you a sense of premium material. The color definitely reminds me of the Apple keyboard, but now in a Windows acceptable key combo, which is obviously meant for Windows devices. The keyboard has a raised side for a more propped up setup, and the back of the keyboard you're going to find a micro USB port, and to the left of the port is a power switch to turn the keyboard on and off. Overall, the keyboard is pretty slim, and for comparison purposes, the tallest part is about the size of 2 Galaxy S8s, and the slimmest part is about the size of 1 Galaxy S8. So a pretty slim keyboard. The cable that was included matches the color of the keyboard, which I like. It's slim and long enough so that when you need to charge the keyboard, a USB port is not out of reach. Speaking of charging, according to Microsoft, this keyboard should last you about 4 months before having to plug it in again. So props to not having to squirm to find and change the batteries every couple months. So to get things started, you'll first need to plug the cable into the computer on one end and the other end into the keyboard itself. But now before moving on, I would encourage turning Bluetooth on, and I'll explain later why. Once you're plugged in, simply power up the keyboard by switching the toggle until you see a green color. At this point, you should see a prompt come up on your computer asking you to set up the keyboard. However, this did not happen in my case. If you don't see any prompts, simply wait to see if there's any drivers that need to be installed on the computer, which should show at the bottom. If nothing happens, simply go to the settings of your computer and find the sign-in options. You should see an option under the Windows Hello section with the word fingerprint. Once you click on the option, you'll be prompted to enter the lock screen password or PIN to allow access to use the fingerprint feature. You will be asked to press the fingerprint key in various ways, and this is to ensure that the fingerprint reader can read your print no matter what angle you press the key. Upon completing the setup, you can either continue or add another fingerprint. In my opinion, I would suggest doing the same fingerprint twice to ensure the key can read your print more accurately. At this moment, you're all set. You can unplug the keyboard from the computer, and because Bluetooth was already enabled, the cable should have sent the proper code to the computer to be able to pair the computer via Bluetooth and not have to do it manually. You can immediately test the keyboard by pulling up apps using the keyboard shortcuts such as the Windows key or maybe pulling up Word to type something up. However, the real feature of this keyboard is the fingerprint key, and you can test this by locking your computer by pressing the very useful key at the top right of the keyboard, which locks the computer. At this point, just press the fingerprint key and it should sign you in without having to put in a PIN or a password. Now, the reason I recommend registering your fingerprint twice is because in my testing, there were a few times where the key wouldn't recognize my print, but registering my print twice definitely helped diminish that problem. Using the keyboard has been a really good experience. I like the weight of the keyboard, and because the gripper's on the back, the keyboard doesn't move around. The keys have a decent amount of travel, and the keys are very soft, which calls for a quiet typing experience. And I love how this full-size keyboard gives you the number pad, and also there's quite a few shortcut keys at the top of the keyboard, including a shortcut to the computer settings, notification panel, calculator, and my second favorite, the lock key. Obviously, my favorite part of the keyboard is being able to simply press the fingerprint key to immediately log into the computer. If there's one downside to this keyboard is the lack of backlit keys. That doesn't really affect me as much because I typically type or use the keyboard in lit conditions, but for someone that uses a keyboard at night with no lighting, this keyboard might not suit you. There are a few keys that have a small white LED that illuminates when active, such as a caps lock and function key, as well as a few others, but that's really all you get. The only other LED indicator would be the LED that comes on when the keyboard is charging, which is right above the arrow keys, but besides that, that's it for LEDs. This keyboard is not for everyone, but overall this keyboard is my favorite keyboard that I've used to date. For $130, you're getting a sleek, low-profile keyboard which looks and feels premium. It has a great battery life, and of course has an embedded fingerprint key. What more can you ask for? Well guys, that wraps up today's video. Links to the keyboard are down below, but before doing so, be sure to press that like button and go ahead and subscribe to stay up to date on my uploads. Catch you guys in the next one. Later.